who murdered his wife in cold blood and then struggled his whole life to deal with the guilt of it. Well, today I want to tell you about an Italian composer by the name of Carlo Gesualdo, Prince of Venosa. Carlo was born in 1566 to one of the most powerful noble families in southern Italy. He had all the wealth he needed. He did not need to study music or study anything for that fat matter because he had his life was set. He could hire all the best musicians, but he was so interested in music and it really piqued his interest. And so he would hire the best musicians and he would learn from them. He learned how to play the lute, he learned how to play the harpsichord, he learned how to compose, and he had such an affinity for this deep expressive music, which was very unconventional at the time. One of the things that helped him be a little unconventional is that most people that were composing or workers, they needed an income, right? And so they would work for royal chapels or courts, but he didn't need to work for anybody because money wasn't an issue. So he had freedom to just experiment away. When he was 20, he married Maria da Veloso. She was his cousin, and she was also considered like this celebrated beauty of the time in the elite circles. And they got married. And then she soon after began a highly publicized, a highly known affair with this nobleman named Fabrizio Carafa. Well, Carlo was not okay with this. This was embarrassing, and he was unhappy. He said he was going to go on a hunting trip. Off he goes. He does not go on a hunting trip. He knows that this boy is coming to bed his wife. He sneaks back into the castle and bursts into the bedroom and sees them together in bed. And he murders them, which he planned to do in cold blood. He walks away when they're dead, turns around, and does it again just to make sure that they're dead because he wasn't sure the first time. This is where his aristocratic privilege shielded him. Honor killings for nobles was tolerated for some reason. So I guess being a nobleman was very good. You didn't need to work and you could kill people if you needed to. He wasn't punished. However, he was punished internally because we can hear this intense pain and guilt through the rest of his life. After this, he flees to a small town with the same name as him, Gesualdo, and he ends up having a small court of musicians that he brings in, and he's experimenting with music, and that's mostly what he does. He does get married again. He marries Leonora d'Este, a member of a very powerful Ferrari family. She is not happy in this marriage. She says he is difficult, he is abusive, he is cruel at times. This part of his life, other people say he's cruel also. He demands constant performances of musicians. Sometimes he has to play the same thing over and over and over and over and over for hours at a time. It's like this like some craze in his head. Something snapped in him when he murdered his first wife. And he, sometimes there's reports of begging servants to please beat him while he's praying, flogging him. It's not good. Stories definitely paint a picture of this man absolutely tormented by his own conscience. So maybe he wasn't imprisoned physically, but definitely internally he was. And also hear this in his music because this is where he truly changed the history of music. So at the time, things were sounding very pleasant, very nice. This is early Baroque. And he comes in with this wild dissonance, sudden chromatic shifts. That's really his signature, is these chromatic changes all of a sudden. Extreme contrast, not like a pleasant from one to the other. But we have agony, ecstasy, and he just... You can hear the psychological drama unfolding throughout his music. He died in 1613, and his music was known and somewhat respected. Mostly people were very perplexed by it and just didn't understand it. And then as the Baroque era moved on and we add more clarity and tonality and beauty in music, his stuff kind of slowly started fading away until about the 20th century. And then we have new composers like Schoenberg and Stravinsky and some others that way. They discovered his music and like, oh my God, this guy is way ahead of his time. And they started implementing the things that he had been experimenting with like centuries earlier. Carlo Gesualdo forces us to confront this difficult relationship between the artist and his art form, between beauty and between brutality. He has big highs and big lows, and what do we do with it? He was a musical innovator, he was great, and he was a cruel man also, disturbed. But it's interesting and fascinating, and it changed some of the musical landscape. So go ahead and listen to some Carlo Gesualdo.